The Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885 marked a turning point in Africa's fate. European powers, hungry for resources and driven by imperial ambition, gathered to carve up the continent. They drew lines on maps, dividing ancient kingdoms and ethnic groups with no regard for the people who lived there. This act of cartographic violence set the stage for decades of exploitation and suffering. The European powers saw Africa as a source of raw materials to fuel their industrial revolutions. Rubber, diamonds, gold, and other valuable resources were extracted through forced labor and brutal exploitation. African economies were restructured to serve European interests, hindering the development of local industries and creating lasting dependencies. The scramble for Africa was not just about economics, it was also a project of cultural domination. European powers sought to impose their values, beliefs, and systems of governance on African societies. Traditional institutions were undermined, and local languages and cultures were suppressed. This period saw the rise of scientific racism, a dangerous ideology that attempted to justify European dominance by portraying Africans as inferior. This racist ideology permeated all aspects of colonial rule, shaping policies and attitudes towards the colonized populations. King Leopold II of Belgium, driven by greed and a lust for power, established the Congo Free State as his personal fiefdom. What followed was one of the most horrific chapters in human history. Under Leopold's rule, the Congolese people were subjected to unimaginable cruelty and exploitation. Millions of Congolese were forced to work as slaves in the rubber plantations. They endured torture, mutilation, and mass killings if they failed to meet their quotas. The Force Publique, Leopold's private army, terrorized the population using violence and intimidation to maintain control. Estimates suggest that between 5 and 15 million Congolese died during Leopold's reign of terror. The Congo River, once a symbol of life and abundance, ran red with the blood of the innocent. The world was slow to react, but eventually the atrocities committed in the Congo Free State became impossible to ignore. International outcry, led by individuals like Edmund Morel and Roger Casement, forced Leopold to relinquish his control of the Congo in 1908. However, the damage was done. The Congo had been ravaged, its people decimated, and its economy shattered. The British Empire, often portrayed as a more benevolent colonial power, was also responsible for its share of atrocities in Africa. In Kenya, the Mau Mau uprising against British rule was met with brutal repression. Thousands of Kenyans were detained in concentration camps where they were subjected to torture, starvation, and abuse. In South Africa, British policies laid the foundation for the apartheid regime. The segregation and discrimination that characterized apartheid had their roots in British colonial rule. The British, despite their claims of civilizing missions, often resorted to violence and coercion to maintain their grip on power. The story of Robert Baden-Powell, founder of the Boy Scouts, illustrates the dark underbelly of British colonialism. Baden-Powell, hailed as a hero in Britain, participated in the massacre of Matabele warriors in 1896. His own writings reveal a chilling disregard for African lives. The British Empire, like other European colonial powers, left a legacy of pain and injustice in Africa. The wounds of colonialism run deep, and their effects continue to be felt today. The legacy of European colonialism continues to cast a long shadow over Africa. The political, economic, and social structures of many African countries are still grappling with the after-effects of colonial rule. The arbitrary borders drawn by European powers have led to ethnic tensions and conflicts. The economic systems of many African countries are still geared towards exporting raw materials, a legacy of the colonial economic model. This has hindered the development of diversified economies and contributed to poverty and inequality. The cultural damage inflicted by colonialism is immeasurable. The suppression of African languages and traditions has led to a loss of identity and self-esteem. The imposition of European values has created cultural dissonance and a sense of alienation. The struggle for true independence continues in many ways. It is a struggle to reclaim African narratives, to heal the wounds of the past, and to build a future free from the shackles of colonialism. The fight for justice, equality, and self-determination is a testament to the resilience and spirit of the African people.